but a lot of parents, they go to jobs and then they come home and or they don't work at all, and then it's just mom 100%, and they're probably like exhausted and like happy. Some of my friends, I feel like they're like, oh, I'm so glad, like, finally I get to like whatever, and either they're retiring and they get to go travel. I'm like, no, I'm an actor. Like, I'm looking for a gig, whatever. I don't think like actors ever truly retire. I think we don't. I don't think we do.
You're listening to What the Hell is Michael Jamin Talking About? Conversations in writing, art, and creativity. Today's episode is brought to you by my debut collection of true stories, A Paper Orchestra, available in print, ebook, and audiobook. To purchase and to support me and this podcast, please visit michaeljamin.com/book. And now, on with the show. Welcome, everyone. My next guest is actress Paula Marshall. I worked with her years ago on a show called Out of Practice. I think it was like 2005. But Paula, before I let you get a word in edgewise, I got to tell everyone, like, your credits are crazy long. So your intro may take a long time. So I'm going to just give you some of the highlights to remind you of your incredible body of work here.
I know that reminder.
And these are just the highlights because she works a ton. So, let's see. I guess we could start with One Life to Live. That might have been your first one. Grapevine, Life Goes On, Wonder Years, Seinfeld. I heard of that one. Perry Mason, Diagnosis Murder, Wild Oats. I'm skipping here. Nash Bridges. You did a couple. Chicago Suns, Spin City, Cupid, Snoops, Sports Night, The Weber Show. It doesn't end. Just Shoot Me, which I worked on. I didn't even know you were on that. Maybe I wasn't there. Hidden Hills and Out of Practice, which we did together. Veronica Mars, Nip Tuck, Shark, Californication. You did a bunch of Gary, Unmarried, House, Friends with Benefits, The X's, CSI, The Mentalist, 2.5 Men, Murder in the First Major Crimes. What else we got here? Gordimer Gibbons. I don't know what that is. You have to tell me what that is. And then Modern Family, Euphoria. You did a bunch of them. Walker. Paula, I'm exhausted. And I'm going to steal your joke here.
You can.
Because I'm going to say you're Paula Marshall, but you may know me as Carla Gugino. That's what you used to tell me.
Carla. And I know Carla.
I know you're.
She's like the younger version of me, slightly shorter,
bigger boobs. But you have done so much. I'm going to jump into the hardest part. I'm wondering if this is the hardest part for you, is being a guest star on a show, because you have to jump in with the cast. You have to know the rules and everything. Is that harder?
Yes, 100%. It's harder. When I guest star on any shows, if I haven't seen the show, I watch 3 or 4 on YouTube just so I know who's who,
right.
And the vibe and the energy. When I guest starred on Modern Family, their last season, and some could say I canceled the show by being. I've been called a show killer before.
I remember you told that, right?
Yeah, I still have not let that go. I like to say I've just worked on so many different shows at its peak, and then it died. Anyway, it's hard because they're all in a flow, and depending on the other actors, how cool they are, to kind of throw the ball at you.
But do you have to identify who's the alpha dog on set? Is that what your plan is?
It's pretty clear, like right away.
Really?
Besides whoever's first on the call sheet, I remember one of the producers of Snoops, David Kelly's first big bomb. That was me.
Yeah. It was a sure thing. What happened?
You know what? I'm not sure. When it was supposed to be a comedy, quickly turned into a drama. It was it was not great. But as one of the producers of Snoop said, you don't fuck with the first person on the call sheet. You don't fuck with them. And so you identify that person, and depending, it's funny because I've worked with so many great people and so many assholes too. Like David Duchovny, damn, is he cool. Right. He's so nice. When I worked on Californication with him, he set a tone for the set, the crew, the actors, of this freedom. just to try things. And
Mhm.
I remember it was like the first day naked, throwing up.
Wait, were you nervous? Why were you throwing up?
Hello, of course. But I
You don't,
remember
you're never nervous, Paul. Let me tell you
I'm
who
totally
you are.
nervous. I'm
No, you're the most self-assured person probably I've ever worked with. You're very
well,
confident
thank you. Um,
acting.
but Californication, it was my first day on set, naked, like fake fucking. And I remember standing there like it was yesterday, and I like they're tweaking you and touching you up. And I say to everyone, it's amazing what I'll do for $2,900 when a strike is pending. It was the writer's strike way back in the day. And I remember getting this part on Californication, and I'm like, to all the girls in the audition room, when we used to have auditions in rooms with other
Yeah.
people, I looked around, I'm like, we're not going to really have to be naked. We're not those type of actresses. And they're like, no, no, no. And I'm like, standing there, yeah, I was naked. So
Was that your first time in a show being naked? I mean,
on
or topless?
a show, yes.
Because you were a model. I'm sure as a model, you're doing wardrobe changes all the time.
I used to model. I was naked in a few things back in the day.
Wait, so were you really nervous about it? Or, I mean, I imagine you would be, but were you?
But standing there naked is one thing. You just kind of have to dive in the pool, in the cold, cold pool,
Yeah.
and 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 let it go, because you got to put on the confident jacket. Like, I guess I obviously wore a lot around you.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's more uncomfortable. Like, the fake sex scenes. It's more technical
Right.
and awkward. It's just, but nervous. I don't know. Yeah, you're excited, but I'm also excited when I walk on stage on a sitcom before, if I'm not already in the set when they start rolling, I'm backstage like, how's my hair? Shit. How am I doing? Okay. I get hyped up until you do it once and people laugh and you're like, oh, okay.
Are you worried about going up on your lines at all? Is that at all you're thinking about?
Yes, especially now. Oh shit, my memory. It's just that Prevagen. I'm gonna look it up later.
Uh,
But yeah, you do. But if you in a sitcom situation, we run it, we rehearse it all week.
Still, the lines are changing all week. That's all I know.
Yeah, but they're changing all week. But then you run it and you drill it, like on TV shows like Euphoria or whatever. Yeah, you run it, but then again, they don't really change the lines at all.
Mm.
But yeah, you were a little bit, but then you got a great script supervisor that you're like, I'm up, and then they say it, and then you go back and you do it. But yeah, always I'm always really nervous until like maybe the second take.
The hardest thing, it seems to me, is just like okay, you're naked and you have to forget that there's all these people there.
Yes.
You have to completely. It's almost like you're crazy to have to be able to forget that.
Michael, when you're paid $2,900,
that's right.
I was shocked. Like, that's all you get, like, for being naked. Yeah, you do. You are nervous, but I don't know. I was 40 then, so I looked pretty good naked. Although I only had like 4 days notice, and back then we didn't have Ozempic. So I was like, okay, I can't. No salt, no bread. And I remember in that shot that the camera guy they decided, in the moment, hey, can you walk over to David and then bend over, he's on the bed, and then kiss him? I'm like, well, that depends. What's your lens there you got there? And I'm like, how wide is your lens? And he looked at me and I'm like, I'm a photographer. I like taking pictures. So I know. And I'm like, so I'm going to bend over with my white ass. And I had 4 days notice on this. And, and my ass is just going to be in pretty much. And you're like, oh, okay, I could do it. But you hope for body makeup. I don't know. I don't even think I had any. I should have demanded body makeup.
And this was probably even before there were, what do they call them now? Like
intimacy coordinators.
Yes, right.
Oh, I mean, here's the thing. I guess it helps when you're not a loudmouth person like me. And even then, it's hard to go, hey, dude, keep your tongue in your mouth.
Right.
You don't want it in your mouth. Sometimes you're like, damn, he's a great kisser, Jason Bateman. I enjoyed the tongue in my mouth. So
It kind of depends. It kind of
depends
depends.
on who's sticking the tongue. But the intimacy coordinator, I think it's just so people know what's going to kind of happen and get it. But like Californication, no, we didn't have that. This movie I was naked on with Peter Weller called The New Age. No, I remember in the middle of the scene, I'm on the bed and he's looking down at me. And during one take, he decides to suck on my nipple. Shocking. I turned bright red, which is what I do when I get nervous. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He goes, I don't know. I just thought it'd be fun. I'm like, okay. And I don't think they used it, but like, if there was an intimacy coordinator back then, I probably would have known.
Yeah.
So it's
Wow.
good, I guess, but it's corny and you feel silly.
Oh my God. I'm glad you mentioned the photography thing, because that was one of my memories from working together and out of practice. This was before people had camera phones and cell phones, and you carried a camera everywhere.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, you're the star of a sitcom. You're the star. I mean, you're an artist doing her craft, and yet it's still not enough that you wanted to work on something. You wanted to do something else as well.
Maybe it's my parents growing up, they always had these really cool black and white pictures of them. And I used to look at them and go, wow, that was your life then. And it was hard to even imagine when they were so young. And so it's like photos are life to me. And I guess I don't want to forget the moments of my life that are important. And so I always would bring a camera with me on set, on location more than sitcom. Stages aren't as conducive to like really cool shots. Yeah. But yeah, just I like capturing life.
And you're still doing it on 35 millimeter?
I still do it. Although I did give in and I have a digital camera now because it's easier.
It's a lot easier.
Develop film it.
For many years, you took my headshot from me, and for many years, for way too long, I used that as my headshot.
Yeah, it was good. I remember.
It was great, and I wore Danny's shirt. You go, yeah, put this on. You look terrible. Whatever I was wearing.
I still do that. People still come over, my friends, and I'm like, you need a headshot? Put Danny's shirt on. He has some nice shirts.
It's so funny.
Yeah, I do. I still like taking pictures.
I got to share another memory I had from out of practice, which I cherish this one. So it was right before it was show night. For some reason, I don't know why I had to run up pages to the cast. And maybe you were in the green room, we were somewhere upstairs. I don't know what the hell, dressing room, I don't know what was going on. I knock on the door and all of you were standing in a circle, holding hands. And Henry goes, Michael, you're just in time. Come on in. And then I go, well, in time for what? And then he tapped. This blew my, like, I love this memory. And you guys were just like, I don't know what you would call it, but you were invoking a good show to be supportive of each other and to be brave and true. And I was like, I can't believe, I felt so honored that I was included in it. I was like, are you serious?
Henry, I actually forgot that memory. And thank you for reminding me of it. Henry's just, he's something special.
He is.
I know, and there's rumors, oh, who's the nicest guy in Hollywood? Henry Winkler. It's because he is.
Yeah.
I could text him right now, and he would literally text me within like 8 minutes. He will text me back. Oh, Paula, it's been so. He's just a dear, and so
he is.
Again, back to when you go on set and who creates that energy. Although Chris Gorham, I think, was first on the call sheet, not Henry Winkler, but Henry was our dad. I mean, he was such a pro, and he just created this lovely energy there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's not common then for other shows that you've worked on. People don't do that. That's not a theater thing. It seems like a theater thing.
You would think. I think I don't know. Maybe it was a Happy Days thing.
Why don't you start it on your next show?
What?
Why don't you start doing it?
I think I might. I'm gonna make it.
I thought it was so interesting. I was like, wow. But it's getting back to that first point. Mm-hmm. Even the first person on the call sheet technically is the head cheese, but they might not be the most difficult by far at all. I mean, you don't know who's the boss.
That's true.
Right.
I mean, sometimes the character is an asshole. I mean, I think mostly people, when they don't really want to be there, they kind of rebel. I've always wanted to be on a sitcom. I remember.
Did that change? Oh, go ahead, please.
I just remember I believe my first sitcom was Seinfeld. I may have done a guest spot on some other one that maybe never aired, or I can't remember, or maybe I just think it's cooler to say my first sitcom was Seinfeld. I'm not sure, but that show, I don't know. There's like a magic, but they didn't do any of that either. But they kind of really invited me in, and I don't know. I'm just thinking.
Do you prefer to do sitcoms, like multi-camera sitcoms?
Yes.
Because the audience?
Because it's a high I've never gotten anywhere else in my life. Not that I need to be high, but damn, when you go out and you make people laugh,
yeah,
with a look or a line or a physical movement, I mean, it's magic. And working with the actor, knowing it, more like theater, which by the way I've never done.
Well, why don't you do theater then?
I don't know. I'll call my agent. Another thing I'll write down.
Yeah, do that.
But I probably only if it's a comedy. But it's that magic that that you don't have to go and do another take, and then they turn around, and then you got to close up again. I mean, it's kind of boring. Like our television there's no magic in it ever.
Yeah.
Except on Euphoria. I have to say there's magic there.
Why? Why do you say that?
Because the writing, directing, the story, the level of acting. I mean, when Marsha is my character, when Marsha actually had a couple things to say, I remember I called or I spoke with Sam Levinson, and I was like, dude, it's me, right? You wrote like an 8-page monologue almost for Marsha to say. And he goes, yeah, I can't wait to see it. And I'm like, oh my God, I was so nervous. I studied for like 3 weeks. There was no rewrites. And then it's me and Jacob Elordi, on set, and we get there and there's no rush. There's no limitation. There's just like, what do you want to do? And he's like, I kind of feel like you're doing this. And then you're doing the cookies and a lot of movement. But we did it until it felt good. And then we knew it. And there was a magic there. No one's laughing at me, but there's something special about that show. I mean, I've heard rumors like, oh, and on set, and I'm like, oh, not for me at all.
Not for you.
No, it's amazing.
What do you do though when you're on set and you have an idea how you want to play or speech, how you want to deliver a speech, and your scene partner is just on doing something completely fucking different? What do you do? How do you handle that?
If you don't have a say, meaning you're a guest star and you do what they tell you to. How high do you want me to jump? That's what you do. But if you're, working together and you're equal, parties, you probably have run it before. But I would say, if they're not doing something that I want, then I use it. And I am frustrated in the scene, or I just use whatever they're giving me because that's all I got. And I try to put that into my character.
How much training have you had though? That's very actor speak.
It really did sound a little actory, and I apologize for that.
No, it's good. I like it.
I mean, I don't know. I lived in New York City and I took acting class with this guy named Tony Abeson, and like Jennifer Aniston was in my class, and
oh wow,
just a bunch of like young people, but not all that much. Not all that much. I think like the comedy thing, I didn't even know I was funny with Seinfeld. The guest stars aren't usually funny in sitcoms. It's the lead, the main characters, the stars of the show are funny.
Right.
The guest stars just kind of like throw the ball, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But something happened after I was on Seinfeld, and then I read for, I guess it was Wild Oats, which was with Paul Rudd and Jana Marie Hupp and Tim Conlon. It was a sitcom on Fox. It was the same year that another show called Friends was coming out. And I remember someone was interviewing us saying, oh, well, there's another show that, NBC is doing with the group of friends. It's kind of like yours. And we're all like, Friends, what's that? Cut to. And ours was canceled after like one season. But that's, I think, the first time I was like, oh shit, I can do this. Like I know how to deliver a joke, but I never learned that. Again, I don't,
Right.
it just kind of happened like 1 year in pilot season, just kind of happened. And my agents were like, oh, Paula's funny. Okay.
Yeah.
And then one time I remember I read for a pilot, after you do so many comedies, then people go, well, she's a comedic actress. She can't do drama. And then you're like, the fuck, of course I can do drama. I remember one time during this callback, no, original, just the first audition. And I had heard the casting director doesn't think you're fun, or only thinks you're funny, doesn't think you're as good dramatically.
Wow. Obviously,
So
if you could do comedy, you could do drama.
I don't know, you would think it's the other way around. It never works. Like it's really hard to do
Yeah. Right.
but literally I was like, well, I'm so angry that she thinks I can't. Finally, they couldn't find this girl, the character for the pilot. And then they finally, okay, Paula, we'll see her. So I get in there, and it was Davis Guggenheim was the director. I love Davis. He, after I read, I think it was like 3 scenes, and during the last scene, I broke down and I was in tears over something. And I look up with like, you couldn't have placed the tear better. And I look up and I ended the scene, and Davis goes, my God, Paula Marshall, you are one fine actress. And I do this. I look at the casting director and I go, you see, I'm not just funny. And I grabbed my bag and I walked out and I go, well, I just fucked myself. Like for any future casting director again. But like there was something that came over me. And I was like, I need you to know that I'm not just one thing or the other. And then Davis, like probably 3 weeks later, texts me, I've been fighting every day for you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? When you get these weird texts from people, I'm like, did I get the part? I got the part. And they didn't want to see me.
It's
But
so interesting. Because you're obviously, you're a working actor. You work a lot. You're successful, and yet you still feel like you're placed in this box and you have to prove yourself and get out of it.
But there's something I really love about, there's part of me that I want to read, and I want everyone to look at that tape and go, fuck, I wish we could hire her. Like, I wish there weren't the limitations and we didn't have to pick Carla Gugino or whatever. Like, I wish we could pick Paula. Like, I want them to go, fuck, man, she was really good. I want to stick in their brain. Like, I would cancel auditions if I wasn't ready for it. If I really knew I wasn't going to kill it, I wouldn't go, or I won't put myself on tape. I don't have enough time to prepare for it because that's like the last thing they see of you.
Yeah.
I want it to be the best thing they see of me. So I only want to leave them with that because they're not going to remember that other stuff.
That's a good point, though. Are you doing a lot of self-tape now? Is there anything in person?
I have not have any auditions in person yet.
Wow.
Actress Ever Carradine, I think she's had like her third one, and she always posts about it. She's so cute. And I think she booked one. No, everything. I have like a room now in my house. It's the tape room, and I've got a nice beauty light, and I've got the tripod. Again, it's kind of easy for me because I have photography stuff.
But who are you acting again? Or does Danny help you out?
Well, Danny will sometimes read with me. My daughter would read with me. And sometimes when I'm all by myself, I read with myself. Like I will have a tape of the other voice, which is me. Or sometimes I leave space and then I put the audio in later. I mean, it's crazy, the stuff that happens. Like during COVID, we've got very creative over here.
But in some ways, though, because you know this, sometimes a casting director is like, like there couldn't be more wooden. And so in some ways, it's got to be easier for you, right?
Yes and no. Yes, because I get to pick the take I want.
Right.
2, because 2, I didn't even say 1. A, B. I don't get nervous. So there's no nerves to like, hold me back or, oh man, I should have done it. Or I mess up, I just do another take. But then there's also, there's something about going in and being vulnerable in front of all those people and showing them what you can do. And especially in a comedy, I can't, like it was like a Zoom callback for a comedy. And I live in the hills, and maybe it was the Wi-Fi or that slight timing was off just enough, and or the reader wasn't funny. and I'm trying to like connect with this dot.
Yeah.
It's hard. You
Yeah.
can't, there was no magic in it, and you couldn't feel the other person. And so I think in a way it's good, in a way it's really not good. So I'm willing to do whatever to get anything because I pay for college.
You
So
pay for, but also, well,
anything
there's
to
also
work.
the fact that you have to drive across town. I mean, that's got to get old, right? Driving everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, but it like when you're an actor, everything, everything stops. You get a script, everything stops. You're
Right.
not making dinner, you're not going out, you're not watching that movie or the show. You drop everything and then you focus on it. And hopefully, thankfully, because of the strike and the new negotiations that they got for us, I think we get like we don't have to do a self tape over the weekend. We need to have enough time to actually prepare for it, which is
Right.
amazing. Because most of the time, like Gary Unmarried, I think I got the audition at 8 o'clock in the morning. It was to meet producers at like 11 o'clock the next day, and you're like, okay, here I go. It's like it's really hard to put all that energy and to
Yeah.
them something great. And I never understand why casting people or producers don't give us more time, because we want to give you something great. We don't want to go in there and read. I don't. I want to perform for you. And it's hard to do when I don't have enough time to do it, because I also have a life. So I have other things. But you kind of do. You really drop it. You drop everything for an audition.
It's interesting though. Like, I want to get touched on something you said. You said it's hard to be vulnerable on camera, but then you said doing comedy. And do you feel like it's harder to be vulnerable because when I think of vulnerable, I think drama, not comedy.
Yes, but there's nothing funnier. Like I remember my husband in many situations will say, like I'll be upset or crying and I'll say something really funny. But humor comes out of the reality, like your honest to goodness, open soul, like your heart. The funniest stuff I think comes out of me when I'm in a vulnerable position. If I'm angry, if I'm sad, when I'm just feeling whatever. So I don't know. I think in many sitcoms I've cried and I've, you know,
How
it's
do you
good.
get past that though? Like, how do you get past that vulnerability thing? I mean, are you 100% past it, or is there any reservations?
Um, Ask that again. So I'm
Like,
very clear
well, when you're vulnerable on camera or
saying.
trying to be,
Mhm.
like how do you are you can you go? I don't know. Is there a limit to your vulnerability? Do you think on camera, or are you willing to go
Yes,
there all the time, as
I
far as
guess
you want?
I guess so. Most of the time it depends on how much tears you have, and
Uh-huh.
I usually, um, if the writing is good, and that's the big if. Like this thing that I ended up booking with Davis Guggenheim, it was with John Corbett, and I had to cry, and it was maybe like a steady cam up the stairs and going, and I break down and I crumble to my knees. And I swear to God, I did it like maybe 17 takes. And then we come around and turn around on him. And I end up crying again. And John, after they yelled cut, he goes, Paula, what are you doing? Why are you crying again? I go, I don't know. The words are making me cry. Like I'm just tapped in
Wow.
doing it. They wipe it away, but you got to be careful because I'm vain, and you got to look like you're not crying. And I'm really crying, so I get red and my eyes get bloodshot,
Mhm.
and you look different, and the snot, and you got to fix the whatever makeup. But no, but when it's great, when the writing is great, of course, usually you don't have to do it 17 takes. It was just had a lot to do with the steady cam and whatever. But usually you do it in like 3 takes and you nail it and it's good. And they're like, wow, that was great. Let's move on. So you don't
Yeah.
really have to, like in a movie, if you nail it and they move on.
What do you do though when you're in it and you feel like you're slipping out of it?
Okay. So that when I drink this, so I make sure I have
Yeah.
at least one of those before every like tape night. I would always drink a Coke. Um, if I can't really like, if the writing isn't talking to me, I can't relate to it. I do that substitute thing. If I have to cry and it's is like really not making me cry, the
Mhm.
subject and the words, I substitute for something else that makes me cry. I'm a freakishly emotional person.
Mhm.
Um, I cry a lot. I'm very sensitive. You wouldn't really think that because I'm kind of like my Danny calls me like bottom line Marshall, and I'm very like tough and whatever and no nonsense. And I say it like it is. And I will always tell you if you look fat in that dress, because I like to be honest. Um, but I don't know.
But is there a moment where you feel like you're in this, you're giving a speech, you're in a scene, and
Hey,
then you're like, oh, I'm acting now.
yeah. I mean, every once in a while, I mean, I'll finish the scene because I don't want to stop myself and because they might like it and for whatever reason, but I'll always say, can I have another one? Can I please
Yeah.
have another one? Or, oh my gosh, I really like the second take. Can you make a note of that? That the second take was much better. They know it's obvious when you see someone telling the truth, it's
Yeah.
obvious which one is better, but you can't just tell the truth once and then move on because you don't know. Maybe there was a sound issue on that take.
Yeah.
No, so it's tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, every once in a while you think you have it. The crappy thing is when they come around to you or they start on you and then you finally figure something out. I remember Bette Midler, we were doing the scene and they were on us first. It was a movie. I guess Danny and I did the scene together. And it was Bette opposite on a table. And they go to her, they turn the camera on her, and then she goes, oh, I just figured it out. We're like, no, the opposite. We did her first. Forgive me. We did her first, and then they came on us. And then she goes, oh, I just figured out the scene. Like, can I do it again? And Carl Reiner's like, no, we got to move. We got no, we're out of here. So sometimes it takes a while to figure it all out.
Yeah.
And she just thought she didn't nail it. Sure, it's Bette Midler. She nails every take all the time.
You are listening to What the Hell is Michael Jamin Talking About? Today's episode is brought to you by my new book, A Paper Orchestra, a collection of true stories. John Mayer says it's fantastic. It's multi-timbral. It runs all levels of the pyramid at the same time. His knockout punches are stinging sincerity. And Kirkus Review says, those who appreciate the power of simple stories to tell us about human nature, or who are bewitched by a storyteller who has mastered his craft, will find a delightful collection of vignettes, a lovely anthology that strikes a perfect balance between humor and poignancy. So, my podcast is not advertiser supported. I'm not running ads here. So if you'd like to support me or the podcast, come check out my book. Go get it in an ebook or a paperback, or if you really want to treat yourself, check out the audiobook. Go to michaeljamin.com/book. And now back to our show.
So
Do you have these conversations with them? Do you have conversations with, actors with more experience? And I don't know, are you still trying to learn from them?
I just pay attention to what they're doing. I don't think I like pick their brains like that.
Uh-huh.
But I just watch them and I watch and I see like,
What are you looking for?
well, sometimes technically how they
Yeah.
do it. I remember my first movie, Hellraiser 3. I learned a lot about continuity,
Right.
which is something they don't really teach in acting class. If I'm
Yeah.
going to pick my drink up and sip it, I have to do that every single time. If I'm going to eat in the scene, I got to do it every single time. And I have to figure that out. And you have to really, if you're really going to eat, you got to really eat.
Yeah.
Teeny little bites, like make your choice. But I learned things from different people. I remember like Robert Duvall, I played his daughter in a movie, and he would act and he kept going until his body knew it was over. And I remember the director had yelled cut at one point and he got really mad. He goes, I wasn't done. But he had finished talking. And he goes, I'm still acting here. It's like I'm still walking here, but it was like I'm still acting. Like I'm still doing. There's still so much more there. I observe and I see how they deal with issues and problems and their focus. Like Mariska Hargitay, I guest starred on that show of hers, and we auditioned a lot in the beginning. Like we came up at the same time,
Yeah.
and she just everything was so serious to her. She really so passionate about her show, and she threw away nothing. Like it was really kind of impressive after 100 seasons now that she cared so much. Because some people after 4 seasons are like ready to go. They're like, I got a movie done, I'm ready to go. But there's certain people like Mariska who from day one till again, I think it's 25 seasons or 24 or something.
Crazy.
I remember when I worked with her and I hadn't seen her in like 15 years or something. I'm like, God, how rich is she? And so instead, I was like tacky. I'm not gonna say that. So again, I walk up to her and it was kind of emotional that we hadn't seen each other in so long. I hugged her and I said, how big is your house? She goes, I can't complain. And I'm like, but she's very passionate, and so many actors are. And then there's some who are not and who like are ready to go.
And okay, and who are they? Like not names, but like why are they there? Are they just rock stars who became actors? Like what do no one just falls into a job like that.
I don't there was one person and he just seemed really angry all the time. I don't think he was just a happy person. If you don't like doing this, I'm not sure why you're doing it. I don't know. There's just something inside you. I mean, this is the greatest thing ever, to be paid to do what you love. And again, when my daughter said she wanted to be an actor, I was so happy because I was like, that's where I found joy in my life. I grew up in Rockville, Maryland, and I didn't know anybody. And I just watched the Mary Tyler Moore Show and I went, yup, that's what I want. How do I do that? Like, I had no idea, like none. And to find like joy there. So when a person is coming to set and they're angry, it could be, they don't like the words. Actors are very particular about, if your dialogue is not great, it's really hard. It's like so much easier when you have great dialogue and the scene makes sense and the relationships, you buy them. It's so easy to do it. It's like effortless and it's so real and it's so honest. And then when you've got this other stuff and you have to say the name of the person to remember the thing, it's very like cookie cutter network television, which you would think at this point would look at streaming and go, they're doing something right over there, because the quality is just beyond.
Well, how did you figure it out then? Okay, you're in Maryland. How did you figure out, you stopped in New York first. What was that?
I did. I moved to New York. I modeled in Georgetown as a local model there, doing little ads for Montgomery Ward, and I didn't really want to go to college. My parents didn't make me go to college. I think I had like $2,000 in my pocket from doing things here and there. I started doing commercials locally, and this woman by the name of Jay Sumner, who is the booker at this modeling agency called Panache, she said, we were at Champions. It was a bar called Champions, and how I was there drinking at the bar, I don't know, because I think I was 18. She said, Paula, you're so much more interesting in person than you are in a piece of paper. Meaning, I'm good enough on paper, but you're so much more interesting in real life. And she goes, I think you should be an actress. And I'm like, okay, really? And I'm like, well, I always used to watch, Mary Tyler Moore and all of that. But I'm from Maryland. How am I going to do that? And she goes, I know somebody. I know someone in New York named Davian Littlefield, who's a manager, and I can set you up with a meeting. I'm like, what? So I ended up moving to New York City. Modeling was my waitressing job.
Right.
I got a lot of money. It didn't take a lot of time. It was really easy. I love photography. So there was that connection that I wasn't just sitting there like an idiot with, in bathing suits or lingerie or junior wardrobe or whatever. So that was kind of my waitressing job to allow me to pay for rent and acting classes. And then I was like, what? I think I really like it. It's true. I'm just a piece of paper. And it's funny because I love taking pictures. I love stopping life. But there was just, I guess, more to me than just the piece of paper. So I guess that's kind of how it happened.
And how did LA happen then?
So I would audition, test for a lot of things. I would fly to LA for different pilot projects. Like I would read in New York, and then most of the things were shooting in LA, not New York at all back then.
Right.
And so I would fly to LA, and I think it was just one of my agents said, look, Paul, if you really want to do this, you got to live in LA.
Right.
I was like, okay. So I moved to LA, and yeah. And, I was like young and 20, I think I was 25 when I moved here, kind of old to kind of start, but I looked really young. And, when you read for enough things and enough people are interested, the head of my agency said to me after like a pilot, I tested for something and I didn't get it. And he told me, back when we didn't have computers, we had to go pick up our scripts. And there would be like a box outside the script, their office after hours. He would look through and go, well, these are my scripts in the manila envelopes. It says Paula Marshall on it. Anyway, I was kind of sad. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not booking anything. And he goes, but you're testing a lot. Like you're very close. And I'm like, what does it take? What am I lacking? What am I missing that I'm not booking the thing? He goes, I believe in you and you need to keep doing this. And then I did. I slowly would start booking things.
What were you lacking? Do you know?
Maybe it was the confidence. Maybe I was really nervous. I remember one time, I think it was during The Flash. It was a pilot called The Flash with John Wesley Shipp and Amanda Pays. Anyway, I ended up booking it. But I remember in the audition room, I think it was at NBC or I don't know, one of the big three. The scene, I put my hand on my knee and I was shaking so much from being nervous that I was like, oh, stop doing that. I don't want them to know I'm nervous because they want everyone to be fearless and confident. And I get that because it takes a lot to go stand in front of a bunch of people and say stuff over and over, or stand there and be naked and do it over and over. There's got to be part of you that's kind of cocky and confident enough that you think that you could do that over and over with someone else's words. I mean, it's kind of crazy that I do this. But I don't know what tipped me over the scale. I never gave up, and I kept doing it and trying to figure it out and asking, the casting directors, and they always say nice things. They never say, well, you messed this thing. No, it's just, there's like a magic. Like if I don't book something now, I don't take it personally. Someone else just had a little bit more magic that day, and they tapped into the character, and the writer saw that person that they wrote down and spent so many hours writing. That blonde girl or Carla Gugino just got it better than I did. That's okay. Like I know.
To me, one of the hardest parts of acting, aside from the acting part, is like the fact that you really don't have, like you don't have agency over you have to wait. Often you have to wait. So what do you do in that time?
Well, you find hobbies. I learned very early on to save money. You live under your means.
Right.
So even if you get a gig and you're the lead in a show, you're making a lot of money per week. And like me, most of those shows, they did not go more than a season. So you have to take that and, live under your means, and you can't spend money and buy fancy things. I invested my money in my house. There's I think maybe 3 or 4 houses now. I try to invest my money, and I fill my days with other things.
But do you stress about it at all or no?
Yeah. I mean, I think in the beginning, early on, I was very busy all the time. There wasn't a lull. And when you do have like a job if you're a series regular on a show, you love your weekends. You love your time off. If you're working crazy hours, sitcoms not crazy hours, you know that.
Yeah.
Those are
writers,
great.
it is.
I mean, yes, that's true. But if you're a director, Jimmy Burrows would be like, I got a tea time at 3:30. We got to get out of here.
Yeah.
It's a dream. And maybe that's why I love the sitcom so much, because you got to act and have like a real life.
Yeah.
When I had my daughter, I remember going, how would I be a mom and work on a single camera show. Like
Yeah.
I would never see the kid. So when I was pregnant, or when I read for Out of Practice, I had just had my daughter a week before I went in to test for the show over at CBS. Like there was a script on my doorstep when I brought her up in the baby thing. And I'm like, I'm a mom, and right, I'm an actress, and I'm 20 pounds overweight. And like I thought I was going to push the I'm not going to work for a year button. That was kind of the plan. Then I saw the script and I read it, and I'm like, oh man, it's a sitcom. Like I'm not going to work very many hours. I'm going to work 3 weeks on, 1 week off. I'm like, maybe I'll just do it. Maybe I'll just read for it. And we'll see. And I really liked it. I really liked the character. And then when I got it, I was like, oh shit, I don't even have a nanny. Like, how do I do this? So Danny went with me tape night. He was my nanny. I remember them going home because the baby, they were cool. Once we got picked up, they allowed me to have a little trailer outside for my nanny, Mariella, and Maya. And I was breastfeeding at the time. She was just born. And it allowed me to do that. And I remember Henry Winkler still was like, how's Maya? And it was just a great thing. I had my baby. You couldn't ask for a better job for a mom. Like I was living my dream. Oh, and I was having a baby when I was 40 years old. Like sitcom is the greatest thing in the world. And I'm still trying to get back on one. Like
there's just not that many of them now.
It's really sad. I've written like 3 of them. Speaking of writing.
Go on.
Writer. So I remember, I think it was when the pilot that I did with John Corbett, when I cried 17 takes in a row, when that didn't get picked up, I remember I was dropping off my daughter at elementary school, and Dave Grohl, yes, that Dave Grohl, sees me. And I had just found out that the pilot wasn't picked up. It's called Murder in the First. No, sorry, different thing. It was called something different. That was another show that I did. But anyway, so Dave Grohl's like, Paula Marshall, what's up? You look sad. And I'm like, another pilot wasn't picked up. Like, it just sucks. And he goes, Paula, when like either his studio or something, they didn't like the music or whatever. And he goes, you know what I did? Like put his arm around me. We're walking down the hallway and he goes, I just did it myself. I got the setup and I just did it myself. And he goes, you should do it yourself. Why don't you write something? And I'm like, yeah, why don't I? And I'm like, well, because one, I'm not a writer. But he goes, who cares? So because of Dave Grohl, that opened the door to getting ideas out, writing something for me. One thing actually, it went kind of far. An idea went very far that I ended up producing with Paul Reiser and Betsy Thomas wrote it. This was a little bit before, but it's an outlet for me. I'm still not great at final draft. I'm still like, how do I get the thing and the page? I can't even figure it out half the time. But so I've written a few sitcoms, mostly from my point of view,
right?
Because I want the job, because I want to.
But so you wrote a single camera sitcom, and then you showed it to Paul, and then so what happened?
The Paul and Betsy one, that was I met Paul's, I believe his name was Alex, but I can't really remember. I met this guy at a wedding, and he was like, "Oh, you're really funny," and blah blah blah. I'm a big fan. I'm like, "Oh, that's nice. Thank you very much." And he goes, do you have any ideas? Do you write? And I go, no, I don't write. I have this idea for a show. And he goes, really? Why don't you come pitch it to me and my partner? I'm like, great. Okay. He was Hollywood. Yeah. I'm like, who's your partner? He goes, who's your partner? And he goes, Paul Reiser. I'm like, what? Okay. So I literally got his number, and I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm going to go meet with Paul Reiser. I go meet with Paul Reiser. I give him my pitch. He really liked it. And he goes, I like it. I think, let's do it. Let's work together. I was like, you couldn't have given me anything that would have made me happier than the fact that Paul Reiser liked an idea of mine. It's almost like when I made Diane Keaton laugh in an audition. I literally called my agents and I was like, I'm good. I could die now. Why? So the Paul Reiser thing, it was just my idea. I had a lot of say, so I got to produce. I got to make a lot of decisions. It was probably one of the
But
greatest.
so you shot it then?
So we shot it, and it wasn't picked up, and
But you sold it to a studio.
yeah, like all of them wanted it. Like
This is great.
Everyone but Fox,
Wow,
wanted
that's
it.
amazing.
It was crazy. But you have Paul Reiser. Like I
But
watched your stuff, but but when you have someone like a Paul Reiser or someone who is respected in Hollywood and has produced before, of course people are going to give them a shot.
Yeah, but not necessarily. I mean, they must have really liked it. So you wrote it and you starred in it.
I starred in it. It was my idea, but I did not write it. Later on, I ended up writing things and pitching, and a lot of people like my stuff. And but I really should go out a little more aggressively than I do. But I have one right now that we're kind of sending around, me and my buddy Jeff Melnick, that he really likes this story. And it was I won't tell you what it is because
right. But that's not nothing. I mean, that's a big achievement, honestly.
For me, yeah. I don't write. I still am a terrible speller because I have like a reading disorder. I've got this thing where reading is hard for me because the font and the text is very contrasty. So I'm a terrible speller. Thank God for spell check, because otherwise bad.
Well, are you going to work? So you're working on another piece for yourself as well then?
Yeah,
I'm impressed.
I have about 3 scripts that I've worked on here and there. And I remember I thought, oh, well, COVID, this is when I'm going to kill it. I'm going to knock these things out. But what happened with COVID, we were so scared, and my daughter was home going to whatever 9th grade or 10th grade. And so that whole time became about helping her find joy. I always said every day, I'm going to help her get through this. And I really pushed all my stuff back, like any good mom does. You let everyone eat before you eat. And that's maybe the way I grew up. So I took care of her and all of that stuff before I focused on me. And then she went to college this year. And you would still think, I'm like, Paula, I gotta finish these things, which I did. I'm back doing it. And I like it. I really like it. There's something about, the story, but no one ever taught me to write. So I'm writing from my experience, the years of reading sitcom scripts.
Yeah.
I have them in my closet. I have almost every single script, especially the ones that I loved.
Right.
And I go back to it and I refer back. I'm like, how did they do this? Even setting it up. I'll go back and sneak a peek.
That's really smart. Was it hard for you when she left the house?
Jesus. Here's the thing. Hang on,
makeup break, touching up.
Makeup break.
Yeah. Last looks.
I mean, because she's not in, Boston.
Right.
She's down the road. It feels like if something bad happened, I could be there. I don't have to get on a plane, and only one direct flight. There's one school in Connecticut that she got into, and it was a great school. And there's one direct flight at like 6 a.m. I'm like, this is never going to happen. And she chose, I was like, whatever you want, wherever you want to go to college, it's your decision.
Yeah.
I'll tell you but it's all up to you. And she chose, and it was something that's not too far away.
Right.
And it's great. Like, I get to see her. And it's worked out. It's a win.
What about the emptiness of the house? I'm going to make you cry now. That's what I feel like. The house is so empty.
You know what? And I think, though, Michael, I think if she was in anywhere else, I think if I couldn't get to her, and that's a weird thing. Like, as a mom, it's about protecting your child. But yeah, I could cry when I think about certain things. Thanks, Michael. It's about protecting them. And I think that the distance, because we are close, she's still here.
Right.
I don't like cooking dinner as much. I'm sorry, Danny.
Yeah.
Because I don't really have to. The big change is, just her presence, her energy.
Yeah.
the thought about, well, what's Maya doing, or what is she going to do? Now it's not. And one of my scripts is, well, I'll tell you. One of my scripts is about what happens when your kid goes away to college. What happens to a woman?
And go ahead. Can you tell me a little bit?
So it started a while ago, just like my fear of, who am I? What am I? What do I do? I mean, yes, I'm an actress, but then I pulled from that. And I'm like, well, if I'm not an actress and I don't have a job and everything has been bomb, there's so many places to go. Okay, you've just got to, it's like reinventing yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Which almost every mom that I know who doesn't have a job, it's very true. I was so fortunate that I could have my cake, my baby, and also work. But a lot of parents, they go to jobs and then they come home and or they don't work at all, and then it's just mom 100%, and they're probably like exhausted and like happy. Some of my friends, I feel like they're like, oh, I'm so glad, like, finally I get to like whatever, and either they're retiring and they get to go travel, and I'm like, no, I'm an actor, like I'm looking for a gig, whatever. I don't think like actors ever truly retire. I think we don't. I don't think we do.
I guess it depends on how much you love it and how much you.
Yes.
Because it must, come on, it's gotta wear on you. The downs have to be, I don't know,
Well, I think that probably just like a writer,
yeah,
have to be able to fill your day when you're not going to be working and making money. Again, it's why it's smart to save your money and invest it and not buy that freaking mansion. If you got that check. Remember one time I went to the bank and I was depositing, it was before they had the picture, phone deposits. I had a really big check, and it was the biggest check I think I've ever gotten. The first time I got that kind of money on a show. And the teller, and I looked very young, the teller, who didn't look much older than me, and took the check. And he looked at me, he looked at the check, and he looked at me and he goes, what do you do? Like, what do you do?
Uh-huh.
And I laughed. I go, I'm an actor. I go, but trust me, this thing, it's like, this isn't forever. Like, I know it's not forever. So I have to live my life like it's not forever.
Yeah.
Because my goal is, I never want to lose my house. I always want to be able to afford things. Because you hear these horror stories about, these, you think you got it and then it show's canceled, and then you can't do that. I've always been like kind of smart when it comes to money. But it's hard. It's really hard.
We spoke a little about this because your daughter's interested in acting, and this is before we started taping. And what's your advice for her?
My advice is find a way to tap in and find the truth in anything.
Right.
And if you can't, then again, you substitute. If it's not connecting, you got to figure out a way to connect to it. It's about, being truthful in imaginary circumstances. It's really hard to walk into a room and pretend the thing and crying. Like, you just really have to practice going there. I remember one time, and even in my life, like in my life situations, I will take note of them. One time I was in San Francisco, drunker than I've ever been before, for whatever reason. And I remember the hotel I think it was during Nash Bridges. And I was like, oh, I'm so wasted. I want to remember what I look like when I'm this wasted. So I took I guess I did have a cell phone then. So I took my cell phone or my camera, no, cell phone, and I recorded myself being drunk. And it's like that one actor, Michael, he's an English guy, Michael, I forget his name. He would be like, you can't overdo the acting, but you're trying not to be drunk.
Yes.
You have to try to make sure that the words are coming out. And so that's what I did. I literally was like, this is me talking it was the craziest thing. So in life, take advantage, again, back to the advice to my daughter, live these experiences and remember them. And if you cry, if you're sensitive and emotional, fucking use it. Like, there's plenty of people who can't cry at the drop of a hat. I can cry. You give me something to, like, people always know Paula can cry in a scene. And even if I don't connect to it, again, I substitute and I find a way. I'm an emotional person. And thing I think I have trouble doing is the angry part. Like, I'm not great at being super angry. I don't think I play a lot of those roles. Like, I was doing, I worked with Steven Weber on his new Chicago Med, I was going to say new show. It's like year 9. But I play his ex-wife. I think it's airing tomorrow, as a matter of fact. And there was a scene where I had to come in and I'm yelling at him. And I'm like, God, this is so not me. I'm not a yeller. I don't yell. Like, even in the middle of a fight, like if I'm fighting, I try to get it out. And then I like cry because I get frustrated because I can't say. I'm not one of those like bitchy women, like wives who are like, I'm just not. Anyway, back to the advice from my daughter. Is you take life's experiences and you put a little, like a marker on them and you remember them. So when you need them, and like, I didn't even think I was going to have any children because I started so late. And as the actress in me, I just never thought, like, I don't know, mom, am I mom material? I don't know. I was like, you know what? I could really learn a lot as an actress by tapping into that love. I remember you'd see my friends who had kids way, way early. And I'm like, God, they love these things. Like, what does that feel like? I never knew what that was. And so I took that experience, and without it, I don't think I would truly ever be able to play a mom as genuinely as I am for love, because, man, I love my kid. And I didn't think I'd be like a great mom. I am the best mom. Like, I am, and I love her, and I love being a mom and all of it. But so I tell my daughter to, practice, learn your lines, very easy. And don't go in if you're not prepared. Like, that's kind of like a big one. You're not ready.
Just because you said mom, was there that fear the first time you decided to play mom? Like, they say, like, once you play mom, like, oh, now she's a mom.
Well, it's just an age thing. So that was never a thing for me. I'm going to play whatever I look like, for sure. So I don't care. I don't care about that at all.
Interesting. Paula, this has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much.
Welcome. I had so much fun talking with you.
I just love talking the craft with people like you. You're a pro, and you're just, I don't know, so much wisdom to share. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm enjoying your Instagram posts.
We'll talk about that. But all right, well, thank you. That's it. You're released, but don't go anywhere. Now we're gonna talk some more.
Stay here.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. What a great conversation. Paula, should they follow you somewhere? Did they do anything, or just watch you on something? What do they want them to do?
Depends on when you get this.
Venmo you the most. What do you want?
Venmo me. Cash is great. I mean, my Instagram is the Paula Marshall, I guess. I'm not really great at all that stuff. Like,
are you supposed to be, though? Do your agents tell you to be?
No, agents don't. But there's, like, if you have so many followers, then it used to be this thing called a TVQ, which is your TV quote, like how many people know who you are. And that's just, social media has kind of taken that over.
Really?
So I think people care how many followers you have. I do not.
Again, but TVQ is not a thing anymore, you're saying?
I don't think it is.
Wow.
No, I mean, maybe they call it something else. But like, I know an actress friend of mine was early on in the Instagram thing. She's like, yeah, I got to join Instagram. Yuck. I'm like, yeah. The thing. She's like, I was told I have to have it and you got to pitch. I'm not that self-promoting.
Yeah.
And I'll say things that are inappropriate and crude and get kicked off of Twitter for it. But whatever. That's who I am.
I know you are. Yeah. Thank you again. Really, it was such an honor to have you on. All right, everyone. More conversations coming. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next week, keep creating. If you're an actor, tell your friends about this. Your other actor friends. All right, everyone. Thanks so much.
Wow, I did it again. Another fantastic episode of What the Hell is Michael Jamin Talking About? How do I do it week after week? Well, I don't do it with advertiser-supported money. I tell you how I do it. I do it with my book. If you'd like to support the show, if you'd like to support me, go check out my new book, A Paper Orchestra. It asks the question, what if it's the smallest, almost forgotten moments that are the ones that shape us most? Laura Sandragomo says, good storytelling also leads us to ourselves, our memories, our beliefs, personal and powerful. I loved the journey. And Max Muchnick, who was on my show, says, as the father of daughters, I found Michael's understanding of parenting and the human condition to be spot on. This book is a fantastic read. Go check it out for yourself. Go to michaeljamin.com/book. Thank you all, and stay tuned. More great stuff coming next week.